Well, good evening, everyone. It is Friday evening. It's a little bit before 8 o'clock Central Time here on Friday. Did want to get on, do a video. I know I said last time a short video, hoping that this one is a little bit on the shorter side, but did want to provide an update on certainly the potential for a flash flooding risk for much of Texas, really North Texas, especially Central and South Texas tomorrow, really kind of Friday night. So tonight through much of Sunday as well. Could see some pretty significant rainfall totals, and there are flash flood watches that have already been posted. So I want to break that down, look at the areas that may be impacted there. And then there's also a chance Saturday afternoon into the evening, we might have a sneaky severe weather and even a tornado threat across northwest Texas, maybe southwest Oklahoma, and maybe even kind of the southeastern Texas panhandle. So there's going to be what's called an MCV or mesoscale convective vortex. I'll kind of show what that is and why that might produce a little bit of a sneaky tornado threat as well. So, this map right here that we're looking at, this is the European weather model and showing over the course of these really next couple weeks what the significant rainfall totals will be. So, when we back this down, certainly over the next let's see, let's go a little bit further out in time here. This would get us through Sunday evening. So this would be about 7 p.m. Sunday evening, and this is the total rainfall rate. So we have some projected values based on the European model here of 4 to 5 inches across parts of the Panhandle. Some pockets here of almost 4 or 5 inches across kind of the central Texas Hill Country. And then some pretty significant rainfall totals here. We're talking over 6 inches here in southwest Texas, and kind of a bullseye here of almost 7.5 inches of rain here across deep South Texas. So this is just one model solution. All the models are kind of ranging with that total precipitation, but we are going to have a pretty significant washout of rainfall here over this Mother's Day weekend. Really starting tonight, there's a lot of ongoing storms, and then carrying into the overnight, into Saturday, and through Sunday as well. So some pretty significant rainfall totals being here. When we look at the North American model, for example, again, through Sunday evening, we can see kind of some higher totals up here in southern Oklahoma, even kind of around that Waco I-35 corridor down to Austin and San Antonio. Again, certainly pockets of 6 to 7 inches of rain, kind of out here again, deep South Texas, into kind of Southwest Texas, and then pockets here of 2, 3 inches of rainfall certainly will be pretty widespread across much of Texas. So, a couple different model solutions certainly a good opportunity for some rainfall here. When we take a look at our simulated kind of radar here, do want to take a look at this. Let's see. Okay, we're on the right model here. And so when we kind of back this up and we look at kind of what's happening right now, let's move forward in time. This is again just an estimate. This is about what time it is right now, and this is pretty accurate with radar currently. Is that we do have a lot of storms here in kind of northeastern part of Mexico, and then certainly across kind of not only the big country here north of Abilene, out to the Permian Basin, West Texas, and then up here to the Wichita Falls area and parts of Oklahoma. We've got this big complex of storms here, and as we move forward into the overnight hours, it is going to kind of intensify. It's going to line out and it's going to slowly kind of move east and almost northeast as well, all the way through the I-35 corridor into the Dallas Fort Worth area. This would be about, let's see, this is 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. So we've got rainfall that's moved all the way through the San Antonio and Austin area and would be centered kind of over the Dallas Fort Worth metro right here. Again, 7 a.m. on Saturday. And then if we progress through the day here, it kind of continues to move across South Texas, giving us some of these higher rainfall totals here, as well as some kind of lighter rainfall over the panhandle here. And then as we move into the afternoon hours, we do see a little bit of a clearing across North Texas, kind of southern, southwestern Oklahoma. And you might be able to see a little bit of this spin here in the atmosphere. So let me kind of track back here and then move forward in time. Can you see kind of that spin? And as we get to kind of that mid to early, kind of mid afternoon, early evening time period, we've got some of these broken individual cells that kind of pop up here, kind of along this vortex here. And so this is our mesoscale convective vortex. And it's going to be birthed kind of in these massive rain showers overnight. And you can see that kind of develop with time, and it starts to just kind of break out and then start to spin here. And so we get this spin in the atmosphere, and then what that does is it creates a little bit of a low pressure system. And as that low pressure kind of sets up here over what we've got kind of going on here is that we have this low pressure system that kind of develops in that mesoscale convective vortex. And so we kind of have these outer bands almost like a hurricane. We've got stuff kind of spinning around the backside here. And then we've got a couple of these outer bands. They're going to be kind of moving in with time. And so, again, as we kind of see this progress, that kind of sets up here across the southeastern Texas panhandle. And then we have these bands that gradually kind of move up to the northwest, kind of out of the southeast to the northwest. And we certainly could see that a couple of these, if there was to be enough instability, maybe a little bit more sunshine in the early afternoon here, we could see enough instability build. We already have this spin in the atmosphere that I could see a couple of maybe short-lived, brief, relatively weak, oftentimes tornadoes here in a couple of these little smaller cells. It's not going to be some, massive supercell, but possibly some low-topped supercells that will still have that rotation capable of a brief tornado. So I think that's going to be a little bit of kind of a sneaky play. It's going to be dependent really on how the storms progress here overnight. And so a lot will change depending on how the evolution of storms goes tonight. But I think that is something that we certainly could see. And so when we take a little bit of a closer look, again, this kind of looks at tomorrow evening. We see these wind barbs here. So here on this side, we're coming out of the south. Here, we're kind of coming out of the southeast. Here, it's almost out of a due east direction. Then here, kind of out of the north, and you see that kind of wrap around. And so that progresses throughout the day. And when we have that spin here, kind of on that eastern, northeastern side, that's where we could have the opportunity to get maybe a couple kind of sneaky tornadoes, and we might see a couple tornado warnings here, kind of in that late afternoon, early evening time period. Let's take just a model sounding as an example. And what we can see here, 63-degree dew point, 78-degree temperature. Not a whole lot of turning here. Not a whole lot of turning here in the lowest levels in this hodograph here. So this sounding doesn't scream tornado. Instability certainly on the smaller side. We do have 3 CAPE. This is the kind of the instability in the lowest levels of the atmosphere, near the ground and kind of just above the ground. Anytime that you see values like this, it shows that much of the instability here is pretty low to the ground. We get a little bit of daytime heating, it creates that instability, and sometimes that can be just enough to get that instability, get a little bit of that storm juice going, kind of foster a little bit of that turning in the lowest levels, and so you can get maybe a couple land spouts or a brief tornado as well. So I think something that it'll be tricky, could be just some rain showers, could be a little bit of kind of a sneaky tornado play. We'll kind of see how this progresses overnight, but I think mainly certainly the biggest threat is some of that significant rainfall that we're going to be seeing, especially overnight tonight into early parts of Saturday, and then progressing some into Saturday evening, and then some storms again on some of Sunday as well. So pretty significant threat for some localized flash flooding. If you live in some sort of a low-lying area, you have a creek or any type of area where water, when it does rain significantly, starts to flood, definitely stay aware of that. If you're out driving, you find water that's across a road, certainly the adage is true: turn around, don't drown. And if you can't see how deep that water is, don't take a chance. Certainly can be dangerous with some of these low water crossings. So I hope everybody certainly has a good weekend and a good Mother's Day weekend to all the mothers out there. And again, we may have kind of a wet, soggy weekend, but I know a lot of Texas could certainly use that. We don't want to have any destructive flooding, but certainly a nice downpour would be nice, and hopefully we can make a big dent in the drought here. So hope everybody has a good Friday evening, and I'll see you back for the next video.